Aye, shepherd's pie, greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for a coffee and a chat. Now, today I'm going to talk about something that has been puzzling me pretty much from day one. Now, a quick disclaimer, because I know some people like my cost of living videos and some people hate them. This is not really a cost of living video. It's two things really. It's a warning, so people know what they're potentially getting themselves into. But it's more than that. It's me trying to get my head around why things are so expensive in the Philippines. Because they are. Now, this may seem like a bit of an oxymoron because, spoiler alert, I will be doing a cost of living video with Ellen in the next few days because we do one every month. And my living costs are very low here. But that's because of our lifestyle, which I'll explain as we go into this video. But yeah, what I'm talking about today primarily is the cost of food here, because food is very expensive. Now, when I talk about the cost of food, I am comparing it to Thailand and Cambodia. So, because I don't really have that much experience in the UK in terms of what things cost these days, and I would think most of it is more expensive. But what prompted me to make this video was a couple of things that have happened in the last few weeks. Now, because I have a friend, Danish friend, and he has a meat business over here. Won't talk about the business, won't talk about his name, but he's a damn good bloke. And I value what he says. And he knows because he's in the meat business, makes artisan foods. And he was telling me a couple of weeks ago in the bar that the food here, in the terms of the meat and vegetable costs and all that, are twice what they are in Denmark. That he could live, in terms of food costs, not rent. We're not talking about rent and all the rest, that are expensive in Western countries. But he reckons the food costs are twice as much here as they are in Denmark. Now, I believe him. And the other catalyst for making this video is I got an English friend. He's just moved from Bacon, where he had a nice little 2-bedroom apartment, I think it was, to a house up towards Valencia way, because it has a garden, because he wants to grow his own vegetables, him and his girlfriend, because the cost of vegetables is so expensive here. So this is not my, me ranting about the price of food here. It's something that has puzzled me from day one because it is so damn expensive compared to Thailand in terms of all food. But when you've got expats here who are telling you it's more expensive than it is in European countries, then you've got to start to question, why is it so expensive here when it comes to food? And it's not all food. It's not all food. And like anything in life, I don't think there's going to be one answer, because I have been given certain explanations over the past year when I've asked, and some of them ring true, some of them don't. And you've got to take explanations with a pinch of salt. It's like in the UK, my home country. We had massive inflation over the last few years. Seems to be coming down now. It is down now compared to what it was. It was up to 11% at one stage. And different people will give you different reasons. Now the reality is, it will be a combination of factors. And it must be the same in the Philippines. It's not going to be one thing. And I will tell you what the things I've been told in a minute. But in the UK, for example, me personally, my politics, I put 80% down of it to Brexit. But of course, people who were in favour of Brexit will tell you it's the Ukraine war, it's because of COVID, because they don't want to believe it's because of Brexit. You know, that's life. People will have, you know, and it will be a combination of factors. But we had massive inflation because of various factors. Now here, again, the reason I'm making this video is I will often get asked by people who want to come out here, can they live on this? Can they live on that? And it's, how long is a piece of string? You know, it depends on your lifestyle and what you want to do. But a lot of people will say, I don't drink alcohol, I like to stay at home and cook my own food. So can I live on this? Assuming you would think logically that that's going to save them money. Well, that's why I'm making this video, because the reality is it's often cheaper to eat out here than it is to cook at home. Alcohol is very cheap here, so you're not going to spend a lot going out every night for a few beers, but you are potentially going to spend a lot if you stay in and cook your own meals from scratch, because that is one of the strange ambiguities about the Philippines. Now, we'll break it down into, let's say, your meats and your vegetables and your dry goods that you get from the supermarkets. Because they are, I mean, this is what I don't understand. A country like this, a lot of people, if you earn 500 pesos a day in a place like Dumaguete, you're doing okay. That is a decent wage, you know, for most of the Filipinos that live here. A lot will live on a bit less than that. I think most live on about 400. I'm not talking about doctors and lawyers and all the rest of it. I'm talking about your average, everyday, salt-of-the-earth Joe. And when we go shopping, I marvel at how they can afford to do it. I know a lot of people will say, well, they eat rice and fish, and yeah, the fish here is probably cheap. I haven't bought much of it, but you see it, you know, lined up. Not really a fish man. Just going to knock the aircon off. But it's expensive, the meat. It was one of the first things that struck me when I came here. How expensive the pork and the chicken and basically the meat costs were compared to Thailand. Because it's like 3-4 times the price for a kilo of pork here as it is in Thailand. And you think, why? Why? Because when you look around, it's got the same lush green, you know, greenery, for want of a better word. You know, it looks like a place where you can raise pigs just as cheaply as you would in Thailand. A lot of people will tell you that the reason it's so expensive here is because they've got to import everything by boat and because it's a little island network. And you think, well, okay, that could be true for your tin goods and all of that. But why does that apply to pork? Why is it so expensive to import, you know, if a pig's been raised in Valencia, slaughtered in Valencia, gone straight down to the shops or the market, why does it cost 4 times as much as it does in Thailand? And I'm not exaggerating, it does. And it's not as good a quality either. Now, I know a few people who raise pigs, and I've raised this question with them, and they will tell you it's because the pig feed is so expensive. And I'm sure it is. But, I've got to ask the question, why are they so obsessed with feeding the pigs pig pellets and pig feed? Because the village when I lived up in the mountains in Thailand, they'd feed their pigs and that on slops, you know, it'd be rice and, you know, whatever leftover food and whatever, you know, they weren't into getting these huge sacks of feed that you see for sale everywhere here. A lot of people had pigs where I lived. When you went into Petchborough City, I did not see, I don't think I ever saw a shop selling sacks of pig feed. But here, it's everywhere. You know, you go in Dumaguete, you'll see loads of shops. There's a place just down the road from us. So for whatever reason, they're feeding their animals on this feed. And this feed's very expensive. Whether that's because there's a tax put on it, or whether it costs a lot to fly it in or bring it in on the ferries, I don't know. I can't get my head around though why. 2 things. Why is it so expensive to raise them here? Why must they feed them on this pig feed? Because obviously You know, a few hundred years ago in like Europe and that, when people raised pigs, didn't have pig feed. So why do they do it? Why can't they feed? Why can't they, like, you know, balance it out with slops and bits of rice and go foraging for stuff for them? Like, because pigs will eat pretty much anything, I think. I mean, my parents have got a sheep farm and a goat farm in Wales. They go foraging on the land and they get them branches and things because the goats love all that. You know, it's why don't they do more of that here? I don't know. Maybe they do, but they don't seem to. And again, talking to my Danish mate, because the pork here, they're obsessed with pork. They love their lechon barbecues and things. And I've been to had a few now. Not so many since I heard that pig being killed the other day. I can't get that out of my head. I tell you, it's bothering me, that is. I don't think it's as great as they think it is. Now again, my Danish friend was telling me it's common practice here, a couple of days before they kill a pig, to just fill it full of water and not feed it anything. Because the water puts the weight up, because it's all about weight here. It's not about the quality of the meat, it's about the weight. Which is why, supposedly, I imagine, that they feed them with this feed to get them as fat as possible. But it's not good quality meat, you know? And if pigs are so expensive, if you can make so much money out of them, why aren't more people raising pigs? You know, it would seem like, you know, a no-brainer. I don't know. I do not have the answers to the questions I'm going to pose in this video. I'm just amazed by a lot of it, as I say. I don't get it. I can't get my head around why all the meat here is more expensive than it is in Cambodia or it is in Thailand. Now, vegetables, my God, they're expensive. And this is not, again, this is not a moan to us. I don't find them expensive. You know, I've got a Western style income. I just marvel at how the Filipinos can afford it, and I marvel at why it's so expensive. And as I say, a lot of people seem to think they're going to come to the Philippines, live on $1,000 a month, and the way they're going to economise is by cooking at home. Obviously, it depends what you're cooking, but you might be surprised how expensive it's going to be. We went to buy some tomatoes, or we bought some tomatoes from the Bacong market the other day, and it was, we got 3-4, you know, fair-sized tomatoes from a wet market. They came to £1 English money. 2 potatoes, 2 big potatoes to make some mashed potato a couple of weeks ago, came to £1.50. You know, that is significantly higher in the UK. You know, you go into Tesco's, one of the supermarket chains there. Last time I was there, you'll get a pack of like 6 salad tomatoes for like 66p. And these tomatoes haven't been grown in the UK. They've been flown in from Africa or somewhere. So people keep saying it's so much more expensive because you've got to ship stuff in. Well, we're a small island, England. Most of the stuff there is shipped in, you know, or flown in. So why is it so much more expensive here? Can't get my head around it. Now, Ellen will tell you, or said to me when I asked her, because she's constantly complaining about how expensive the food is, the vegetable food. I say, oh, that's too much, this is too much. Well, we can afford it, what's the, you know, but it's getting more expensive all the time. It seems to be going up. And she has said to me before, it's because of cyclones. Because they have these huge storms and it wipes out, you know, the crops. Now that is, to me, that is the most logical explanation I've heard. I can get my head around that. But you would think there were ways around that. You know, like polytunnels and, you know, growing things off the ground. I get the potato one to a certain extent because potatoes, you can't have the soil too wet, you know, it'll kill them, they'll rot in the ground. But there must be areas of the country, I don't know, I'm not going to go down, you know, I'm some great, you know, botanist and I know how these things work. I don't. I'm just saying to you, and I will be very interested. This is one of these videos where I am going to say to you, I want to hear what you're saying, the answers. I would like to have the solutions. But, you know, if you've got one answer for this, then I think you're probably fooling yourself, because I think there will be a number of factors at play. It surprised me when I first came over here, when I was looking at the videos, a lot of American vloggers I watched were saying that the supermarkets here were more expensive than they are or around the same price as they are in the States. And yeah, they are. They are. Depending on what you buy. And this is what I'm coming to again now, the quality of the food. I know it's a poor country, but you go into, like, we go to LP hypermarket, you'll get all these little tins of meats and things. Same as you do in any Asian country. You know, there's one of them called Argentina luncheon meat, and you'll get these like corned beefs and all these things in these little tins for like 60, 70 pesos, 44 pesos for like smaller ones. I am not a fussy eater, I am not. But by Christ, they are god awful, awful. I have no idea what's in these things. I mean, I literally am a person who will eat anything, I thought, until I came to the Philippines. But when I was in Sydney a couple of times, I thought, I'll try this, or I'll try that. I'd never seen this tin deal, this looks nice. Oh, you can't do it, you can't do it. I buy some of this Argentina, they call it Argentina meatloaf or whatever it is. I buy it for the dogs because I feed some of the, you know, the soy dogs here. But like the other day, I got up and Ellen had opened one of the tins because she's eating. I thought, how can you eat that? And the way they get around it is they fry it. And if you fry it, it can become slightly more palatable. It's not my favourite, but it does taste a lot better when it has been fried than straight from the tin. But it's not good quality stuff. And bearing in mind what poor quality it is, you've got to ask yourself, why is it so expensive? Because, pardon my French, it is shit. It really is bad food. And there's no getting away around that. And I don't understand why, because for the same price in Thailand, same price when I was in China, you will get tins, little tins of meat and all this kind of stuff, and it's not bad. But this stuff over here is awful. Now, if you've never been to the Philippines, you will never have eaten any of this stuff, and I'll tell you why. I was watching or reading an article online a couple of months ago, and some of the Philippine food had made its way into America, and there was a huge health warning about it. They were saying, don't eat this, don't eat that. This has to be taken off the shelves because it's not allowed to be sold here. So I thought, God, I'd better read this, because I thought it was going to be something about, you know, I don't know, lead in the meat, or, you know, or toxins or whatever. And this is, some of it was stuff we had in the cupboard. And when I read the article, what it was is nothing, in all Western countries, in America, etc., you've got to be able to trace the food. Got to be able to trace the food, because obviously you get outbreaks of foot and mouth and disease and all that kind of thing. You need to be able to trace where it came from so you can track it down and wipe it out. Food in the Philippines does not need to be tracked or traced, and that was the problem. This food had got to America. There was some mayonnaises, and I think there was some of this Argentina beef I've been talking about, because I saw the tin on the Facebook page. That's what wasn't Facebook, it was on Google. That's why I started reading the article, as I say, because we had some of that in the cupboard. And yeah, it's not traceable here. They have no record of where this meat came from, how it got there, and what's actually in the tins. And the Philippines is one of the very few countries in the world where you can get away with doing that, which is pretty shocking, really. Again, my Danish friend was saying to me he'd bought some, I think it was corned beef or something, a few years ago, because he's been here a while, and it said on the tin, may contain beef. When you're buying a beef product. I say I don't worry too much. I don't eat any of that stuff now. There's one I eat. There's a Chinese chicken luncheon meat I quite like. I think it's called Royal whatever. But it's not one of the cheaper brands. I think it's about £2 for English money for a tin this size. I quite like that. We have that in for emergencies if there's, like, you know, a cyclone or whatever and we can't get to the market. And Ellen will fry it up. But it's one of the, have it with rice and some sauce. It's the only thing I found here that's edible in the tin stuff for me. And as I say, I'm not a fussy eater. So, you need to know. The quality of the food here, on the whole, is not great. And the quality and the price of it is more than you would think. I was looking at grapes the other day. There was Van Gogh man selling grapes. And they're big grapes. and they were expensive, and they were sold by weights. Now, I don't know if anyone knows anything about grapes, but I like my wines. I used to be into my grapes. I think of myself as being a bit of a connoisseur. Used to do lots of wine trips. Used to go up the Napa Valley. We went around France trying foods. You know, I like my wine tasting and that. Now, the reality for a good grape is a small grape. Small grape, the older the grape, the more the flavour. Most of your cheap wines, Ernest Gallo and all that, those kind of ones. The vines are like 5 years old. They rip them up and start again because you get more flavour on an old vine that's 25, 30 years old. That's where the good wines come from. But they produce 25% less grapes than the younger ones. So, I mean, it's economy of scale. It costs a lot more to produce a grape for a good wine. If you water a grape to hell, it will expand and you'll get huge grapes like that. But they won't have any flavour in them. You can't make wine out of them. That's why people struggle to make wine in Thailand and will struggle to make it here, because there's so much water and the grapes will be massive. But they won't be good grapes, in terms of flavour. The ones here were huge. They're selling them by the weight. They were about 3 times the price you'd pay in the UK for grapes. So they were big, they were heavy, they were expensive, but they were crap. I mean, they're not good grapes. For the reasons I've said, the flavour is so diluted by the intake of water. But again, 3 times the price they would be in the UK. I think a kilo was something, I'm not going to quote the price because I might get it wrong, but I was amazed how expensive they are. It's one of the few things in the Philippines. I mean, the pork, I think that looks pricey, but the grapes, I had to stand back. There was a little tray of grapes in LPI market, I remember now, and they were 185 pesos, which is about £2.50, and it was literally a few grapes on a tray, at least 3 times what that would be in the UK. Your rice here is a lot more expensive than it is in Thailand. But I mean, it's still doable. I mean, you can still live here. I mean, our living costs are very low. I explain it in the living cost videos, I'll do it there. But we eat out a lot, and it's genuinely cheaper to eat out than it is to cook in. I mean, Ellen's going to make some pork chops tomorrow, and we're going to have them with mashed potato because she likes a mashed potato. We'll get them down. We've got some nice big chops. She'll put them in this batter. She'll cook them or whatever. That will cost us more than it would be to go out and get a pork chop and mashed potato in a restaurant, probably when you put it together. I like to make my old chicken tikka masala here. I like chicken tikka masala. But by the time you bought the cream, by the time you bought the yogurt to marinate the chicken or whatever, you're talking £20, £25, in English money. You could get a takeaway. You could get 2 chicken tikka masalas and rice and that from a restaurant in England, for that kind of money. We cook a lot of pork pad kapow. I cook Thai food, or she cooks Thai food. We like our Thai food. We go down, we'll get like a kilo of ground pork, and we'll buy some basil and chilies. Things like your chilies and that, they are cheap here. Anyway, I'm not going to go into our lifestyle. I'm just saying to you, the reality of life here, for whatever reason, the food here is expensive. The electricity for us is dirt cheap. The water is a fraction of the price of what you pay in the West. And we're paying £200 a month for our nice little place here. The water bill for the month is 50 pesos. That's less than £1. It would be, I don't know, £200 a quarter in the UK. So about £600 a year for the water. Here, for the whole year, £6. Electricity bills are nothing here. Most our electricity bill just gone up now. It's gone up, I think it's 2 pesos a kilowatt. Still don't think our electricity bill will be more than £3,000 pesos a month. So it is cheap living here, but the food is expensive. As I said, my friend from Denmark said it's twice the price it is in Denmark. I've got no reason to doubt him. It's considerably more expensive than it is in China, considerably more expensive than it is in Thailand, considerably more expensive than it is in Cambodia. So the question is why? Is it because stuff has to be shipped in? Is that the main factor? Well, like I said, maybe it is, but there are islands in Thailand, and if it is, that is the cost. Why aren't they producing more on the islands? I mean, Negros is a big island. There's lots of, you can drive for like 10, 15 miles, not too many houses. There's lots of land to grow stuff here. Maybe it's just the Western stuff. I don't understand. I can get the potatoes. I don't understand why the tomatoes are more expensive. It's easy to grow tomatoes here. I imagine it's the same as Thailand. I used to have a mate who grew his own vegetables, Dale, and tomatoes would grow in a couple of weeks. He'd have these huge tomatoes, and they don't have the seasons because it's sunny all year round. They'd start growing again. His garden was full of produce. You know, I don't get why it's so expensive here. Cannot for the life of me understand why the pork and the chicken. Now the seafood, I'm not an expert on this. I have mentioned in previous videos, the seafood here is not great compared to other Asian countries. But I had an explanation for that. Just going to pop the aircon back on again now. It gets hot quickly. Can't have the fan on because it's too noisy. I had a friend over in City Hall, and I asked them one day about, you know, like the prawns. Why weren't they the size that they are in Thailand? Because you get prawns and that on the market and you can see them around here, but very few of them are up to what you get standard you get in Thai markets. And she told me, and I believe her 100% on this, because she used to have a prawn farm. And she was saying that everything that's caught here fish-wise and everything that's caught here, you know, in terms of prawns or anything seafood, is graded from like 1 to 2 to 3. And basically all the good stuff gets exported straight to China and Japan because they'll pay more for it. All the second grade stuff goes to Europe because we'll pay more for it, and then it will go to like good restaurants and hotels in Manila and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that's left is what you get on the markets. It's what you'll get in the supermarket. It's what you'll get if you go down to the wet stalls. I can believe that. I can accept that. That makes perfect sense to me, because as I say, I was puzzling at these streams and rivers look exactly the same as they did when I was up in the mountains. The sea is clearly, you see the fish jumping out, you know, when you get the ferry across, the old flying fish. There's clearly a lot of fish there. Why aren't they as big? Why aren't they as good? Well, there you go. They get exported to higher paying markets. I can get that. The business with the pig feed though. Why do you have to have pig feed? Why is pork so expensive? If it's so expensive, why don't more people keep pigs? It would seem like a no-brainer. Because I've not met many people, don't seem to have many people with a couple of pigs, but I don't know any. It either seems to be you have a pig farm or nothing. And I've got a mate Ray who I rented a bike over. I asked him once, because his wife, she keeps pigs. And he was saying it's because the feed's so expensive and you've got to do this and you only get paid this on the kilo. I get the explanations, I'm just saying there is something wrong here. They need to have a rethink. You know, don't feed them so much. Don't go for the cheap option. Feed them less, it will cost you less. Sure, the meat will taste better. You don't necessarily want a fat pig, you want a tasty pig. But anyway, I'm no expert on this. If you know about pigs, tell me why I'm talking crap. But anyway, so is it the cyclones? Is it because the feed's so expensive? Is it because you have to import things by ferry because there's so many islands, or you have to fly stuff in? I'm sure it's a combination of all of those factors. But for me personally, my own opinion, not that I'm into conspiracy theories, I think people are getting screwed here. I think it's quite obvious they're getting screwed here. Certainly on the tin foods and things. Because yeah, it may cost to import things, but why import such bad things? You know, I think there are people in high places, shall we say, are taking bungs from certain producers, etc., to allow total crapping which they can sell at inflated prices. I think people are being screwed. I do. I think people are probably getting screwed on the price of the feed, animal feeds. I think there's an element of that there. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'll be interested to know what you think, because it is baffling, and it's something, as I say to you, I'm not going to go around in circles. I'll end the video soon, but it was apparent to me the first week I was here, when I was buying stuff on the street, you know, street food and things like that, and I went to the supermarket. I thought, my God, this is expensive compared to Thailand. Why? When the alcohol and things like that are so cheap here, when so much is so cheap here compared to other countries, why is the food so damned expensive? But I didn't make a video on it because I thought, who's going to be interested? Just going to think I'm being a cheap Charlie, you know, whatever. But keep getting asked in the comments if I don't drink alcohol, if I can't do this, if I don't go out for dinner, if I cook my own food, how much will it cost me? Well, it's probably going to cost you more than you think. There's a chain here called Krispy Kreme, which I love. I like to go at least once a week. When I was going to the gym, because I stopped going to the gym, I will start again next week, but I had a few injuries, so I had to take a rest. I go to Krispy Kreme 4 or 5 times a week. Because you go in there, you can get a piece of chicken and rice, and it's good chicken and rice, it's fried chicken, so it's not good for you fat-wise, but it's got protein in it if you've been to the gym. And it's 52 pesos. I'd get 2 pieces of chicken, rice, some gravy. Cost me 82 pesos, because it's 40 pesos for a piece of chicken. I marvel at how they do that so cheaply, because you cannot go down to the market and get 2 pieces of chicken, or to LP Hypermarket, get 2 pieces of chicken and some rice and some gravy and make it as cheaply as that. So it is cheaper, on the whole, to go out and eat in restaurants. And I think that's why our living costs are low, because we eat out most of the time. I mean, we do cook in sometimes because we enjoy doing it, or Ellen likes to cook stuff. She's a good cook. And we like to eat Thai food, so, you know, we have to make that here, you know. And it's easy to make here. You can get the vegetables and things, get a tin of coconut milk, you know, come back, you can cook it. But anyway, these are not prohibitive costs. You can still live here on $1,000 a month if that's what you want to do, if that's your lifestyle. I'm doing it at the moment, not because I'm economising. Anyway, that's a different video. Just saying to you, if you're coming here on a budget, and you like to do a lot of cooking and you like to eat well, because eating well is not easy here. It is not. If you want to eat well, you will have to go to the markets, and you will have to, buy your own stuff, because this is not a healthy eating place. You know, in Thailand, you go out, you order a meal, it's customary to have lots of vegetables. You know, the curries will have lots of vegetables and things in it. You will get side dishes, you know, your papaya salad, your somtam. It's got lots of vegetables in it. Not so much here. Average thing is to get a piece of meat and some rice. Sod all vegetables. You know, so if you want to eat your fresh fruits and your vegetables and your things like that, you need to go to the market. And things like bananas are cheap. You know, I'm not saying they're not, just saying it is difficult to eat healthy here unless you go to a market or you go to it and you buy your fruit and your vegetables and things. But they're not cheap compared to other Asian countries. They're not cheap compared to Western countries, and that's the reality of the Philippines. You know, and Dumaguete is supposed to be a cheap place to live. You know, I'm no expert. I know that because I've only lived in 2 places. You know, I lived in Dumaguete and I lived in Sikio, and things were slightly more expensive in Sikio, but you can understand that because it's a small island, everything has to come in. How Negros compares in terms of food costs and to Manila or whatever, I do not know. I just know that if you believe what you read and the vlogs you watch, that Dumaguete is one of the cheapest cities to live in the Philippines, where you've got a decent infrastructure. So if you're no doubt going to move to Cebu or somewhere like that, you're going to find, you know, Cebu City, you're going to find your food costs are even higher than here, I would imagine. I don't know for sure, but it is what it is. So there you go. I think I've said enough. Don't really have any answers. As I say, I suspect people are being screwed. I have heard that it's because of the weather here. I've heard it's because it's small islands, you have to get imported in. You know, I've heard all the reasons. You know, the animal feed, we've gone through them. Maybe you've got some other explanations. I'd be genuinely interested to know, because it baffles me when I'm looking there and I'm thinking, why is it so expensive? How do people afford it? You know, and people say, oh, because they just eat fish and rice, you know, and the fish is probably cheap here, but maybe that's what they do, but they shouldn't have to, should they? There must be ways to get the cost down. There must be ways to get the food of a higher quality in the supermarkets and the tins, because it's not good if these people they're having to eat shit all the time. But there you go. Anyway, I'll end the video now. I'm starting to go around in circles. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it would be great if you did. But whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.